No sound. They should be able to hear us. I don't know why. Hold on. This is my fault. My fault. This is what happens when I have dental emergencies. Oh, here it is.
I think.
Now can you hear her? Yeah, they can hear me, and they can probably definitely hear you.
Hi.
There it is. Now it works. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dungeon Cooldown. I am your co-host, Ron, and as with me, as always, the lovely...
Katie Michels.
That's right.
Oh, wait. I pointed the wrong way.
You did.
Katie Michels.
Don't you go the Katie Michels? Isn't that what it is? It's this...
I was
this
like,
guy.
Yeah, that's true. I should have gone like, I'm Katie Michels with...
That lady. Ron Ogden.
Yeah, there we go. We're doing it live.
Doing it live. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, we ran a little bit late. I had a small dental emergency. I had to get to a dentist this morning.
No big deal.
All good. Made it back. We are going to have to leave right at 1. Miss Michels has a thing to get to, so we're going to have to do that. So we're going to make this quick and easy and sharp. Katie, how you been?
45 minutes of our lives.
Going to be very good.
Yeah,
how you been, Katie? How was your weekend?
Really good. Oh,
Uh-oh.
sirens.
Yeah.
It's not for me, I promise. It's not. It's another dental emergency.
Oh yeah, another one.
Weekend was so good. The weather was actually really lovely this weekend, but it's going to be very hot here soon. So
it is. And
I got to see you in person. So
I
it was
know
really
it was awesome. We had a great time. Enjoyed those beers.
Some beers, some tots.
We talked about poutine or
We did.
poutats.
For all our
Poutine
Canadian
tots?
friends.
Mm-hmm. Canadian friends, poutine.
We talked about how poutine, it makes more sense in Canada than it does in LA because it's not really a hot weather food.
Yep. Captain Crunch, what ends up happening actually is I was flossing, and as I was flossing, part of my tooth sliced off. That was fun. Unfortunately, it was not candy. I wish it was candy that caused the problem, because at least then I would have had some dopamine with it. But in this case, it was not. So it's all good. Easy fix. It's going to be a super easy fix. So a lot of the stress is gone, and that's why I had to go, because I had so much stress. So I was normal flossing, just normal flossing.
And you don't have any sensitivity?
No, that's the biggest thing, is I don't have any sensitivity. My biggest concern was there is an open gap in the teeth, so I didn't want anything getting in there and then have, more cavity issues, that kind of stuff. So that is boring, so let's not talk about that anymore.
David Jen Pro says, lesson, never floss.
Yeah,
that's the
lesson,
takeaway.
Never floss. Especially
floss.
Never rage floss. That's not a good idea. It's really your gums pay the price.
Rage flossing.
All right,
goodness.
well, we've got so many questions today, and a lot of them are me.
A lot of them for you. So, Ron, I'm just gonna interview you. This is Katie Couric, and I'll go rage fist. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Ron. Thanks for being here today.
You're welcome. My name is Uggo.
Sorry. Hi, Uggo.
Yeah, that's fine.
My notes. I don't blame my intern because I take responsibility for my own mistakes. I should have known
that. Makes you a good interviewer.
Yeah.
Good interviewer.
Thank you. Okay, so Uggo, your patron Ron, is really killing it with the strong emotions. Love it, man.
He does that.
This is a question from Uncle CW. As an actor, are you drawing from personal experience for those emotions, or are you just really good at emoting?
Yes. Yes. In an or question, if you don't know this in logic, yes is an answer if either side is true. In this, I think it's a little column A, a little column B. Yes, definitely some personal experiences. They're not one-to-one. Clearly, these personal experiences that you draw from are not one-to-one. Emoting, it's much easier to emote when you have something emotional to draw from. That's just across the board. It's easier to do that. And I think even when you are just good at emoting, you're probably in some form or fashion drawing from emotions that you've already felt. Otherwise, you might just be a sociopath, which, is a thing.
So I guess a follow-up to this question then, Ron, what I'm hearing is, are you a sociopath?
Well, I often wonder that. I often think inside my head, am I a sociopath? But I think that's probably the primary sign that you're not a sociopath.
Yeah,
is that you even consider it.
Is if you're thinking, "Am I a sociopath?"
Probably not a sociopath.
Not a sociopath.
Yeah. Actually, got that from a therapist once. I was like, I feel like sometimes I'm a sociopath because when my trauma became with a lot of like being able to delineate into buckets particular emotions because you have to in certain survival instincts, and so a lot of that is like, oh God, especially in therapy, I feel like I'm a sociopath, and like, no, the fact that you're even thinking about it is a large indication that you're probably not.
Yeah.
So,
if you're like, I have no problems and I think I'm totally normal, then you have maybe. Or I just don't care about anything. Or maybe you have no problems and you're totally normal. You know, that also is an option.
That's right. There's a lot of options there.
Okay, we really got that's a great answer from you. Thank you, Ron.
Of course,
Uggo. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Uggo, for stepping into Ron. Thank you for even just stepping into Ron for a second to handle that question. We really appreciate your vulnerability.
We're very good at passing a buck here, you know.
On the Cooldown, yeah, really good. Okay, so Uggo, this one's actually for you specifically. What? And it comes from our good friend Catherine Prentice. What was Uggo hoping to talk to Siv about, and how did he feel when Siv said no?
Uggo wants to talk to Siv about his weakness.
Okay. In what sense of the word weakness?
The part that he feels weak about. The part that's driving him to be the way he is. I want to find out why he feels that way. And also, maybe don't embarrass me in front of my mama. You know, he asked me very nicely to be very nice in the city, then when we were in Oldspot, and I did, and then the first thing he does is come over here and be a jerk, so.
Okay.
And how'd that make me feel? It made me feel like he was a coward, that's why I said that.
Okay, so it looks like you guys are battling some expectation issues within your friendship. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And I don't know, Katie, if you have noticed this, but sometimes Siv likes to avoid the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least keep them internal.
Yeah, likes to.
And that can be very dangerous.
Yeah, it doesn't want to discuss them necessarily.
Yeah, right. Everyone. So then he becomes like, urn ready to explode. And we all know what happens when urns explode. Demons rise. So, you know, trying to give Siv a target of his anger. Because then maybe he can feel like he can talk more if there's a target of his anger somewhere.
Right. If it feels less centered on himself and
correct.
Yeah. I mean, we've been trying to get Siv in here for an interview for months now, and he's not talking. So
he's a sneaky kitty.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's definitely what his publicist has said.
Yeah, sneaky kitty.
Yeah,
he's good man though. Very good.
The official. Oh, we love Siv. We love Siv.
Kitty.
Just not interested in interviewing with Katie Couric. So
yeah.
Okay. Next one. Again for Uggo. Loved Uggo with his human mama, and happy to receive a bit of the approval from her. Happy he received a bit of the approval from her he seemed to crave. Was the rich family history / backstory of the characters something the players, and this is maybe for Uggo and for Ron a little bit, the players had right from the beginning of the show, or did that develop over time? This question comes from David Gen Pro.
Okay. Let me let Ron take over for a second. Hold on.
Yeah. Tap him in. Do we have Ron?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. We apologize for having to switch this way, but you know, it's just
no apologies.
It's just the reality of living in fantasy worlds, right? So, I got to say, the rich family history was definitely built into this particular story. Not right away. It was mostly, you know, when we first had the meeting with Jeff. I was in Ireland at the time. If anyone recall, I don't know if anybody recalls, but I was in Ireland at the time when we got the first the announcement and reaching out with Jeff. So Jeff and I's first conversation was more about like, well, what's Uggo? Where's he come from? What is it? And it was really the detail and the rich backstory that I wrote much later, and then handed off to Jeff, who then filled in all the details that I did not give him, which he's very good at. And I love that he's so good at that because it's hard to find DMs who are that way. And at least it has been in my experience. And so to have someone like this has been very, very wonderful. There's some of it that has developed over time. And that's mostly to do with Braca and the relationship of what happened there, and less to do with what has. But now, obviously, that we've introduced these areas, I think these will also develop as we have seen in the past in other places.
Right. Well, it's ever evolving too, I would say, in general, just because we don't control our back. We can create our backstory, but it's going to be affected a little bit by places that we learn about and see. And, we didn't know about the whole world when we started.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
There's some developing there.
I feel like a lot of the questions are for me, and Uggo's feeling a little shy right now, so I think we'll stay here with me if that's okay with you, Katie.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's great
Okay,
for
cool.
me. That's
if we need to get
yeah.
Uggo, I can coax him back out, but
No, give him a break, and also I know that Uggo has strict must take naps every so often or something like that.
Well, and he's also a little emotionally
breaks?
raw right now. Yeah, push-up. Yeah, he's got to do a lot of push-ups. He does a lot of push-up naps. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in his contract writer to have push-up breaks every 15 minutes.
That's right.
So, so like we're staying on that schedule.
Look,
okay,
you got to take care of you got to take care of your people. You got to take care of them.
You have to.
Yep.
That's what we believe here too.
That's right.
So this one is for you, Ron. Also, and this comes from Jessica. It is not the rest of the world I want to save. It's Uggo. I thought I killed the thing, but it changed and grew in me.
Mm-hmm.
Is he referring to his rage? This was powerful. Can you elaborate on this and what Uggo meant by he needs to save himself? Have to once again say how amazing you did in this last episode. You and Jeff did so wonderful and created such a beautiful relationship on screen in such a short period of time.
Well, that's really. I'm going to put that in Jeff's court. That's Jeff's ability to be able to really pull that out of a character, and the trust between all of us in the cast really helps with that too, right? You can really go to places that are a little harder to go than normal because you can trust the people across from you. Well, I won't get too much into detail on what Uggo meant because I think that's kind of what we're seeing. But yeah, I think in that moment, it's probably pretty clear that he is referring to the anger inside of him. And I think you're also kind of seeing maybe a little bit of Uggo realizing something in the moment as he says it in that moment, right? I don't know if you guys noticed, but after that, Uggo gets a little bit more contemplative and wondering about what's going on when he says out loud, and I think in the moment it was a discovery to Ron in the moment when that was said, but it felt right for the character at that time. So it's not the rest of the world that I want to save. I mean, obviously that is what Uggo does want to save the rest of the world. Obviously there's something big and bad there that he really wants to save. But for him, if he saves the rest of the world, what he's saying here is if he saves the rest of the world, then he can save Uggo too. But I think Uggo is now starting to realize that you're not going to be any good at saving the world unless you can first save yourself, right? And it's just like love. In my opinion, right? You can't really love anyone wholeheartedly, or to your fullest extent if you don't first love yourself. And that's, I think, a little bit of what's coming out there is Ron saying like, hey, this is something I learned in life. Like, you got to be able to love self before you can really love anyone else. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that. Thank you again for telling me how wonderful that the episode was. Again, as always, I am only capable of doing what my castmates are so wonderful about letting me do. So it's as much as their skill as it is mine. It just looks like mine because they're all doing very good job at making me look really brilliant. So, I appreciate all the love and support for my acting ability, but it really is this cast.
Well, and you're part of the cast, so.
Of course, right. But I mean, it's just not me it's not me, it's everyone involved that allows that to exist.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think that is what makes us be able to work off of each other. I'm just seeing a question in chat from Frank Delicious. Any suspicion that I'm guessing Braca has contact with Ashen Mage?
Yeah, of course. There's some with the cheesemonger being so easily put into power, and we now know that's because of the Ashen Mage. Braca's rise to power does feel like it's backed by something. And the fact that he kind of looks drowned and ashen himself kind of is another indicator maybe to Uggo that this is what's going on. Which is why I think you see him handle the dream the way he handled it. Rather than going in and just starting right off like, oh, Braca, you, blah, 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 but saying, you know, like, think about what you've done. Like, contemplate the things that are happening right now. That's what Uggo hasn't been doing, or has been led to understand that he wasn't doing that when he felt so strong about and passionate about the things that he was doing. And I think he's trying to now share what he's learned out in the world and from the group to his twin brother. It just doesn't look like the twin brother is capable of doing so.
Yeah. David Gem Pro says lots of great therapy tips in this cooldown. You know, we like to be multifaceted in how we approach things. So yeah, absolutely. That's Wildman says, Ron, you solidified Uggo as one of my top 5 favorite characters last week.
Wow, that's huge. Thank you. That's flattering. Thank you. Wow.
Passion and Vision, thank you for the subs. The gift subs, thank you. Oh yeah, and when you described him as your identical twin, that was a bomb.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of tried to make that a little bit more clear earlier, but it made, when we were going through it, I was like, I don't know if this is landing as significantly as it could if I didn't remind people, like, you got to remember, like, if you're seeing this visually, you're watching Uggo talk to himself, right? You're watching Uggo talk to an evil version of himself, or at least that's what it would look like to your eyes. And so I think that's, for me, that's where my head is when I'm doing that, is I'm going like, well, what would it be like to talk to an evil jerk version of yourself? Because, you know,
it's
you're
like
going to love that person.
But it's not inside yourself. Yeah.
Right. It's not in me, but I still love that person because they're my brother or they're me or whatever. There's something wrong, and I don't know that Uggo's given up on Braca yet. And I think we see that in the dream.
It doesn't seem like that.
It does not seem like he's given up on Braca yet. Because he's very much like, I don't want to kill Braca. Now, we don't know why specifically he doesn't want to kill Braca. He's talked about it before, about wanting to do it. But he has also kind of relayed over time that this is something he's not necessarily really into and is trepidatious about moving that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another question from Jessica in the Patreon. The question 2 to Ron. To what extent, so just because I feel like we're kind of in this area, to what extent does Uggo see/view his time with human mama as him being an experiment versus that mom-son relationship? I can only imagine how confusing and conflicting that must be. And based on how Uggo pointed out she chose not to kill him, love for her does go a long way. But how does he feel about technically being labeled a science experiment? And for editorial sake, I put in the air quotes. Those were not in there.
Yeah, I don't know that Uggo is necessarily intelligent enough to really make the connection on his own. I think he gets it a little bit. I think because he does make the connection of like Mama loves and likes to know things and doesn't believe things that aren't physically or somehow she can see with her own eyes. And I think the conversations with the other team members have really impacted Uggo in a different way that we haven't seen yet. He's hearing things, and the fact that human mama knows Ertenfurt was new to Uggo, and that seems like a thing. Now, he would never, there would be, I can't imagine any indication prior to this experience that we're running through, that she would be like, oh, I know this gnome, from science class, but it's one of those things that Uggo goes, well, there's clearly things I don't know about human mama, and I thought I did know things about human mama. And a part of the mother-son relationship is, you have to recall that when she saves Uggo had lost his mother recently.
Right.
And had gone through not only losing his mother, killing his own father, and being betrayed by his brother. So there's a 3-pronged trauma there. And so human mama had to deal with the 3-pronged trauma that came out of that.
Well, and there's also the fact that you're going back to her after being out on your own and being kind of released from her, and you've Uggo's learned so much in the past couple months of being out on his own. Right. I don't know when was the last time you saw her, actually. I can't remember how long you said
a couple months before. I think the what we laid is like a couple months, maybe a year or two prior to the campaign.
Okay. So, I mean, that's always an interesting thing of like, even just thinking in real life, when you go out on your own from home and then you come back, and how that dynamic does shift when you're like, okay, now, but I am my own adult now, or I'm my own person now, and you're not in charge.
Well, and Uggo knows directly that he's experienced things that Human Mama has never experienced.
Right.
And in such a way that would be contrary to what Human Mama has taught him. So there's kind of a two-prong that Uggo didn't really talk to the group about, which is, yes, I want her to meet my family, but I also want her to know all the things my family knows, because she's the smartest thing that Uggo knows about other than Torvald, and she's not captured in someone you can talk to right away. And as Uggo talked about, what we're lacking here is actionable intelligence. We don't really know what's going on. We're reacting to things, and Uggo's starting to get to the point of like, okay, this is why James and Lily and Siv are around, and yet we're still having problems. So we need to go somewhere who's smarter than all of them, and maybe can help us understand what's going on here. Obviously Uggo felt better about giving it to you in his own voice.
Yeah, thank
I
you for
finished my
popping in for a
push-ups and
second,
figured
Uggo.
I'd come in here.
Okay, Uggo.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Uggo. We appreciate it.
You're
No
welcome.
apologies needed, please. We roll with the flow here. You know, we want to make you, the interviewees, the most comfortable.
Well,
So,
thank you. It's very kind.
yeah. I've worked on much more rigid news shows before, but on the Cooldown, it's much more relaxed. Yeah. Okay. Well, this one actually is. Oh, okay. Actually, I'm gonna.
Can I ask you a question now?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Katie, I don't know if you know Katie Michels at all, but
I do. Very well.
Well, she might have talked to you then a little bit about Lily. And so Whisper Joe wants to know, is Lily really that optimistic about Siv, or is she trying to be positive and supportive, but secretly scared to death he's going to let her down in a big way? Yeah, we all want to know this.
Juicy question.
Yeah, juicy question.
I think Lily is optimistic about Siv. I think Lily, you know, we're seeing Siv in this really dark place right now, but especially after that last conversation, I think she's like, okay, he's gonna be okay. He's in a bad place, but he's gonna be okay. And it's not necessarily gonna be easy, and it's not necessarily gonna be fun to get out of there, but the willingness to talk to Lily about it gave her optimism. Going into that conversation, Lily was not as optimistic. Lily was
and that was the next
sure.
question by Dr. Sparks, which is, what are Lily's thoughts about a brief conversation with Siv? So that's kind of what you just covered, was that's what the conversation coming out of it. But prior to that, speak a little bit about how Lily felt prior to that.
Well, prior to it, she kind of felt like there had been a couple interactions in Olsvach where she had like talked to Siv, or kind of, again, Olsvach is not a good place for any kind of that to have happened, because we were in such a ticking timeline of like needing to get out of there. It was no time for any kind of like, hey, let's chat about
what just happened
right now. It's just not a good time, and any chat then I feel like you wouldn't be in the right place to have it.
Right.
But there was some dismissiveness that she was noticing that probably wasn't personal, but when you're very aware of someone, you know, things feel like, maybe I've lost my ability to influence this person in any way, or this person. If that's, I think, what Lily was fearful of going into the conversation, is, has Siv gone so far down this like negative like life is over kind of place, or I am this villain, which is kind of his dark place, right? It's like, I am the enemy. Has he gone so far there that I'm going to have to pull any kind of emotion out of him, or any kind of conversation out of him? And I was worried that he wasn't going to be even willing to talk about it.
Yeah,
frankly.
Well, and that was what, obviously that's Uggo's concern when he's like, can I talk to you? And Siv is like, no, It's like that part of the you're a coward is Uggo saying you're a coward to not face your emotions openly with all of us.
Right. Right.
Which is more of Uggo trying to say, like, letting Uggo's emotional anger with someone get the better of his word usage. He switches to the simpler word for him, which is coward. In this case, just means avoidant. Really is what it means. Stop avoiding. He's trying to tell Siv to stop avoiding how he feels and just talk about it. But obviously in his own situation, Uggo is a little angry and chose the improper word. As people often do, right? When you're angry, people choose the wrong word. They say the thing that feels more in line with how you're feeling rather than what you most of the time.
Well, and when you're angry, right, you like take it out on you think
whatever's
things are
in
more
front of you.
personal than they are. You think it's about we're all a little bit we all think things are more about this than they are.
Yes. Well, and all people do that because it's built into our evolutionary survival.
Yeah. It's like, I have offended, I have greatly wronged you. I'm not even thinking about you. This has nothing to do with you.
That's right. So many times in my life, you're like, hey, man, let the ego go because no one cares. No one actually really cares. And you're like,
I'm really
That's why ego death is important. Ego death is very important. You just need to kill the ego enough that you can still love self and survive. Real Perry Martin says Siv kind of rages without thought, where Uggo rages by choice, and I think that's a pretty good, at least in my opinion. That seems to be a very accurate description of what I think we're seeing, at least in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and Siv is raging at him, and Rabbit Attack Goat says it right after that. Siv is raging at himself. Whereas Uggo is probably raging more at the world around him.
Right.
And the way that because if you remember when he met Nonezaron, Uggo got really upset at this godly being. And I think a lot of that was because Uggo was realizing, these gods and things that we're talking about are actually very real. And apparently there's some that we don't even know about, which means we don't have any frickin' control over our own lives. And what does that mean? Like, for someone who's already dealing with the rage of not being able to control his past, now you're telling me there's really no way to control your own life.
Yeah, we're going to get into the philosophical conversation of like, there is no free will.
Well, yes, you could go, but that's also the same philosophical conversation as, are there time zones in Ein?
Yeah, I know.
So it's those kind of things where in fantasy worlds we can let some of those things kind of play out in a different way because none of us knows what philosophy would look like if magic were real.
That's
right? If magic were real, the way we think about things would be very different. And philosophy, as much as we want to say it's original thought, it's like, no, most philosophers are building on a core from someone else. A lot of them from people like Plato or Aristotle or Socrates or Socrates, I like to call him. It's like if you lived in a world where magic exists, would Socrates come to the same conclusion? Would Aristotle? Would Plato?
Right.
That's always been very interesting to me.
Yeah, well, and some of those people I feel like believed in like light magic.
Right. Like, they called it ether, right? There was this extra thing, extraplanarly that just fixed things. Yeah.
So
they also believed in gods.
Also.
They also believed in the gods that were real and live on the planet. So yeah.
Yeah. Rabbit Attack Goat, which is a very funny name, says Siv was despairing about not being able to control his future in his conversation with Lily about the orphanage as well. That's very true. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think control is a big thing.
Oh yeah.
For Siv. I mean, for all of us, but for Siv, I feel like that is definitely a thing that.
Yeah, because he grew up in an environment where he had zero control.
Right.
Exactly.
And the way he got control was through things he didn't like, and that was the only way he felt like he could grasp that control. Right.
The balance between life and death was the control he was given.
Bearded Breed 89 says, I'm a little concerned about the mount situation if Lily and Uggo saddle if there's a dex checks fail, is there possible trample damage? I mean, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
If it was that type of a fall.
Yep.
But
now we have an off healer. Right now, Uggo is an off healer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that doesn't ever happen, but it could. And then Ron, were you aware of how Jeff was going to play Human Mama? This is from Bradley. Bradley Parts has a 2-part question. The first part's for you. Were you aware of how Jeff's going to play Human Mama, or was the voice, mannerisms, and demeanor a surprise to you too?
That was all a surprise to me. None of that had been, I was a little nervous at the beginning of the show too, because, there was no indication of what I would be dealing with. But then I remember we're an improvising team. And so I was like, oh, right, okay. But at the end of that, even when we were done with the show and we're doing our postmortem, I wrapped up with Jeff was saying like that is spot on, man. A lot. He kept saying, I hope I don't have the experience with clinical psychology that you do, and I'm not experienced. I haven't educated. I'm not been educated in that environment. I don't have a degree. I just been in that environment a lot. I've gotten a lot of therapy, and not only that, I like to research those things. When someone tells me a thing, I don't just take it as fact. Most of the time, I at least try to look it up. Trust but verify kind of concept. Again, that scientific aspect of the world that makes sense to me. So, seeing that come out of Jeff the way it was like, he says, I hope I did this right. I was like, dude, you couldn't have done it any better. That's exactly the fact. You'll see a little smile on my face when I'm getting excited to see Human Mama, but then when he says, oh no, even I'm excited about what he just said, because what does that mean? And awesome. So I had no intro to that. It was all surprise to me as well.
Yeah. I loved it. Was not, I don't know what I was expecting. I don't think that was it, but I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And then there's a part for you, right, Katie? Did you know what you wanted to say to Siv as Lily, or were you just reacting to him? You guys both totally killed it in last week's episode. Great work. I got to agree with Bradley here. You and Siv's, the audience doesn't get to see me, but you and Siv do a little bit while you're doing your, and I try to give you guys some like visual cues of things that I think are really cool. So I'll nod or like, yeah, I love this, where this is going. I try to give you, that's the way I cheer, So just to see you guys get into that we needed it. The group needed it. Siv and Lily needed it. I think the watchers needed it. It was just a really good, wonderful scene. And as much as Jeff and I might have done great work in this, I have to say that if I were giving out awards, they would be going to you and Siv, Lily and Siv this time.
That's just because you're too modest to ever give yourself an award.
Well, yeah.
I never plan exactly what I want to say. I think it's a really dangerous thing to do in life and in improv. But the second you're like, oh, I'm going to say these exact things, you stop listening, I guess, is my experience. Yeah. And it's a conversation, so it has to be two-sided. I knew that I wanted to address. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to say, but I knew I needed to address Siv's seemingly quick fall to the dark side, basically. Yep. Because if you think about it, I kind of mentioned this last week, but it seems like it had been so long since Siv had gotten like this, but it had really only been 2 days.
Right.
Because we had 4 or 5 episodes in Olsbach where we were planning, and this kind of started to happen. And then when it really tipped over the like, oh, this is clearly a thing, we were in the middle of a battle. So like we had talked about, there was no time to really sit down and be like, yo.
Well, and the thing that traumatized him the most was happening again, right? Like so it's really easy, I think, at least my knowledge of addiction, especially with it running somewhat in my family, relapse is always a thing that you're in danger of, right? They teach you that, like relapse is always a thing you have to look out for. And it's much easier to relapse when you're in the environment and the exact situation that you were medicating, or why you were trying to medicate in the first place. So I thought that was really kudos to Jared on that for making that very real, because that's exactly the kind of things that occur, and it was very real.
And I don't know if that conversation, had I had it in Olsbach, would have gone the same way, because I think he's also too close to the trauma, the epicenter of the trauma, right? Is Olsbach. And so he needed to be out of that you're okay.
Right.
Like, yes,
It's all good.
it's
Right.
we're okay.
Right.
It's not great. Well,
Right.
Swatch isn't great. What happened
Right.
is not good, but
Right.
we're
and
okay.
the way you're feeling is valid, and what's
Yeah,
happening is
totally.
totally understandable. But
like, I mean, I wrote a song last week and I didn't sing it for him because it when we got to that moment, I was like, this isn't a song. This is a conversation. This is a moment where I need to hear him out because it's easy to accidentally like be like, yo, you're fine, when someone's like, but I'm not. I don't feel fine. And that
some of it is the person trying their anxiety with the situation, trying to make them like, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And it's like, but that doesn't actually help the person who's suffering, right? That actually probably makes it worse in some cases. It drives up their anxiety and it also makes them feel like they're not heard, which is the key you're making here.
Well, and that's to go back to, did I know what I was going to say? I knew I needed to talk to Siv, but no, I didn't know what I was going to say. I had a song for one situation. That situation didn't happen. But I knew I needed to talk to Siv, but there's no way for me to plan out what I need to say because I didn't know how he was going to react to me having a conversation with him. Right. And that's where I think the death of conversation in general, but improv and role playing is if you pre-plan too much and you're like, I got to say these things, you do yourself such a disservice to be able to listen and react in the moment.
Yep.
So nothing that I said out loud was planned. It was all that scene. And I'm assuming Jared had the same thing because he doesn't know I was going to talk to him. So scene was all not planned.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the majority of what we're doing is not planned. The way that I have talked about it, you've heard me talk about it, is similar to the way that Larry David does, which is the framework of things, right? We know essentially where we're starting. And we have some nebulous idea of what we want to end up as a goal as the group. And then the rest of it is just trying to find the moments and beats that lead us there. Sometimes we're better at that than others. That's true of any individual that does this kind of thing. But I assure you that 98% of what we do is completely made up on the spot and not planned, which you hear Jeff constantly talk about.
Oh, I didn't know you guys were going to do that.
Oh, that was the decision. Okay, all right. Which is great for him because then he gets to determine what the consequences of those decisions are, right? Because that's his job. And I think as much as it's rough sometimes as a DM having to figure out, oh gosh, they made a decision. I made so many other plans the other way. It's actually a lot of fun for me in the personal role of a DM where it's like, they didn't go the way I wanted. You know, I love that. I love that you didn't go the way I thought you would. Yeah, that frustrates me a little bit because I got more work to do and I've got to like maybe play a little bit fast and loose with what's going on. But that's what this is, right? That's group storytelling. It's not supposed to go the way you think it is. At least that's how I feel about it. It's not supposed to go the way you think it is. And that's the brilliance of it. When you have a group of individuals who all agree with that and they come to it, hey, I'm trying to make you look good. I'm trying to make you look good. I'm really, really concerned about making all of you look good. I find in my experience with especially long form improvisers, you get better stories that way. You're less worried about self and you're more worried about them. And so you're more likely to listen. You're more likely to add rather than steer away. There's a lot of benefits that come up naturally when you take that viewpoint. At least I've experienced.
Well, and it's not even self or them, it's the story, right? So it's us. Like it's, you're not even you're concerned about, or what is this cool weave that we're making?
Yep. Right. And I don't want to make these hard decisions on my own weave because I might step on someone else's weave and I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So,
Right.
Yep.
And then sometimes that's an interesting choice. So like that's the crazy thing is it's like it's different every week.
Well, and that's life though, Katie, right? That's what I've experienced about life is the best thing. When I realized that taking improv classes wasn't just making me a better actor, it was also making me a better human. I was like, oh, I see the power in this now. I see why so many people push this as they have throughout my entire life.
That's why I say everyone should take one level of improv.
Absolutely.
I used to teach improv like for businesses for just like team building stuff.
Yeah, did that kind of stuff.
And I just think it's really, really empowering to learn how to say yes and. Because unfortunately, we're really ingrained subconsciously to say no.
Yep.
And it's like a protection thing, and it's good to
Cognitive
have that
dissonance.
protection. Yeah. It's good sometimes to say no, and it's good to have boundaries and blah, 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 blah. Yes. But learning how to also say yes and say no at the same time is fun. Like, yes, and in a way that's like, yeah, what you're saying is awesome. I have no interest in that, but like, I love what you're saying, and here's what I can offer, you know?
Yep.
So.
And Rabbit Attack Goat says, I love Ron was talking about having discoveries about your character in the moment. They say that happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens to every human.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you wake up and you're like, oh, this is how I feel about everything. You know, there are times, especially if you're one who likes to grow as a human being, if you're always trying to learn something new and you're not set in your ways, I think discoveries happen when you least expect them to. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I have been, again, it goes back to improv, is improv allows you to identify those moments faster, in my opinion. And it gives you a tool set to deal with the emotions that come with realizing something in the moment, right? Like, yeah, especially in like large format areas where you're like, oh, we're at a party and I just came to a realization about something that is very important and personal, and you're like, but I'm at a party. Oh, this is fun.
I wish there was like a super cut of all the times where we were surprised by what Jeff said, or like things were like, because like there's no way to really fully in character be like, when right. Jeff told me that Bengal was on fire, like, you know, all these different things. The fun thing about playing a character though and discovery is then you also get to make stuff up. So like in real life, you can't be like a saying that I always, you know, but I've made up so many Grammy Dumblestuck sayings in the moment that I have to like write down and remember. I'm like, apparently she said that all the time. So.
Well, there's a lot of wisdoms like that Uggo come out of Uggo's mouth. It's just me thinking about the topic that we're thinking about and going, now what would Uggo think about this? And then one of the things that Morgan has pointed out is when Uggo talked about tattoos. And when he repeated it to me, I was like, that actually is a really cool saying that I didn't even occur to me that I had said, which is that tattoos are the scars that we choose, where we choose our memories. Right? It's still scarring your body. Somebody said something about that, well, I don't want to scar my body. I'm like, well, but you're going to get scars anyway because you're an adventurer and you're going to get cut. So you're going to get scars. So choose the ones that you want on your body and put them there. And I was like, it's exactly why I got a tattoo. That was a memory that I needed to, that I already had a scar that's not physical, that is emotional, that is a line that reminds me of things and things that I've learned. And so what better than to put a tattoo there to constantly remind me, even visually. So that was why I got the tattoo. It just reminded me that I survived a thing that some people don't. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Tattoos for me.
So cool.
Yeah, I think
we have
we're
two
getting close.
general show questions that I'm going to ask. First one, Ron, is your new haircut related to leveling up your paladin connection to the Candle Queen?
It is not. It is related to being able to go out into the public. So when pandemics first started,
leveling up in real life.
Right, and when the pandemic first started, I said out loud that I would not cut my hair until such time as we had vaccinations. And so as soon as I got a vaccination, I got a haircut. It's also because my agent told me that if I didn't get a haircut, my manager told me that if I didn't get a haircut, it'd be a lot harder to sell me on things. So got to make it easy for my manager to sell me, that's for sure.
I mean, that hair sells itself, Ron.
Yeah, you'd think so. I still need a manager. If it sold itself, I wouldn't need a manager.
Hair manager?
He is my hair manager.
We need to get you some hair shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just my hair?
Just
I feel like
hair.
headshots are that, though. Aren't they just hair shots and your face is in the way?
Yeah, maybe some like this.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it.
Let's see here. Okay, this one's hard. If you had to continue your campaign with an adventuring party made up only of NPCs you've met so far, who would you choose? Evan Marks. That's hard. Well, I would pick, even though he's in captivity, probably Torvald.
Yep, I would choose Torvald for sure. Diptha, if she was alive.
Diptha.
If she's alive.
Yeah, Diptha and Torvald. I'm assuming we can say that. I think I would take Prim with me because I feel like she's got the hunger for adventure and it'd be fun.
Yep.
Though that might be an irresponsible move, but
I would probably take Globalubu.
Blubba bloop, bleeba bloop,
Bleeba bloop. Bleeba bloop. That's it. Bleeba bloop.
bloop,
Bleeba bloop.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of people are saying Jorl. I would not take Jorl.
Yeah, Jorl's like when you give side quests too.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Because
Jorl's the guy you stop
improv
by.
class. Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs to yes and a little more, and then.
Jorl is Alfred. That's what Jorl is. Jorl is Alfred.
Gosh, who else would we take? Maybe
I'd probably take Lord Ereban.
Oh yeah, good call.
Just because powerful mind flayer sorcerer.
Okay.
probably
Also,
need that.
it would be me, Prim, Torval, Dufo,
All right.
Hims.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like dude needs a positive group of friends, and the Chrono Dragon.
Oh, you just. I mean, valid. Chrono Dragon can change into a human or a humanoid of some sort. So valid. I would probably take Torvald, Diptha. I'm gonna get crap for this, but I would probably take Grolago. Because it felt like Grolago could be manipulated into doing the things that he needed to do. You need a fighter. And I would probably take, it would be Dondo or one of the other, Dondo and one of the other dwarves. Probably, I've forgotten their names, just because we haven't said them in a long time.
Yeah.
Not the one who re-enlisted, the other one.
Yep.
Those are probably who I would take.
Yeah. I actually don't know if I'd take Dufo. I feel like that's a weird choice. And I feel like he'd smell so strongly. But
Yeah, he would.
maybe I'd include him in the planning or something like that.
And he also seemed to be
think-
very prone to just dying.
Yeah, not great with portals.
Yeah, not that great with
I think I
portals.
probably would want to take Prim, but I think I'd maybe take Grammy Dumblestuck first. But
Yeah.
if her leg's okay.
For sure. Grammy's a good one too.
Yeah.
What was the Duke's right-hand man? Because he might be a good one too.
Yeah, he would be good. So many names.
He'd be good for like research and understanding greater things, I think.
Frank Delicious says, I bet Lily would really take the hot bartender. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll go with two. For sure.
Yeah. Frick and Crick. That's
Frick
a
and
different
Crick.
campaign. But yeah. I'd take the bartender, Mama.
Yeah, I'd take the bartender, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like a deep,
Chrono
gravelly
Dragon.
voice who feeds me alcohol, for sure.
Gorpa played missed the question. It's what would our adventuring party be if it was made up of only NPCs? Would love to know what some of you would take in the comments in this final minute here.
I said Dondo, fail waffle.
Yeah.
I did say
the
I would probably
hag,
take Dondo.
I would not take the hag because the hag tried to kill me.
Yeah. Probably.
I mean, the stoic dude. Dondo.
The stoic dude. Also, if you guys didn't notice, we have new little badges. They're little Araband badges, courtesy of Jessica Lynn Parsons. Thank you, Jessica.
KLP. Those
Killing
are so
it as
good.
usual. They do look good.
Love.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, there'd be so many good NPC parties. We should continue this one in the Discord.
We should actually. This should it should be asked to everyone. I think to every cast member because I think it's a good question. It's a great question.
It's a really great question, and I also think it's fun to think about it now, but then really thinking about would you want to balance your party? Would you want to all be similar minded?
Yeah, right.
There's
what
a
are
lot
your
of different
goals?
personalities here.
Yeah. There's even a reality in which Whitebeard might be a good adventure.
I know. I was thinking
person.
Whitebeard.
Yeah,
I was thinking Whitebeard.
Yep.
Maybe if Whitebird is in a positive group of friends, maybe.
if Wifebird?
Whitebird.
Did you say Wifebird?
No, I said Whitebeard.
My brain definitely heard Wifebird, and I was like, "What is Wifebird? I don't understand that."
You know the NPC Wifebird?
Wifebird.
Yeah. I'm a bird, and I'm your.
But
spouse.
I'm also a wife. I love how your wife cleans house, and my wife is just a title.
No, I said I'm also your spouse.
God, what do What is happening to these headphones? They're broken. They're broken.
I took too many improv classes and not enough enunciation classes.
No, it's I didn't take good enough hearing classes. Is what it is.
Nervous is a good one. I know. Hearing classes? Do we have those?
Hearing
That's
classes.
improv. That's listening. It all comes back to improv.
Indeed. Oh, well, I
Too many
think
rage
that's...
into those headphones.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. It is now 1 p.m., and I know that Miss Michels has a thing to do, so we're going to have to wrap this up. Katie, it is always... Time goes by so fast.
It goes so fast. That
Talking
was
to you.
already 45 minutes. We got through all of these questions, and I just want to thank everyone again for these really thoughtful questions every week. Y'all are super amazing and make us think about things in new ways, and it really does flavor how I think we all create our characters and the story, and it wouldn't be the same. It truly would not be the same without everybody who's contributing these questions, because it makes us think about things differently.
It does, and I gotta completely agree with you wholeheartedly, Katie. It's
Finally.
It's a right, because that's a hard thing for me to do. It's interesting to live in the times that we live in across the board, but what I find very fascinating is our community and how tightly knit they are together, as well as how tightly knit they are with us. And I think that is a I don't want it to go away, but I understand that things change, and so I'm trying to appreciate it while it still exists as it does. And I am surprised that it continues to exist as long as it does, considering the state of the world that we're in. So that is a huge thank you and love from me to all of you out there, because you guys daily give me hope for humanity. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we love you so much. And
very much.
On that note, I want to remind everyone, scheduling notes, that we are doing our live show. For those of you who have not heard, or maybe have heard, but we've been doing it on Wednesday for so long. This week only, we are doing our live show tomorrow on Tuesday. Tuesday night this week. We will re-air it on Wednesday night. So if that's the time that you want to watch on Twitch, you can still do that. But our live, if you want to interact with us in chat and we can't interact with you in chat during the show, but if you want to be there and watch it actually live, it'll be tomorrow, Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Twitch. We'll re-air it again on Wednesday, and then it'll still have the YouTube premiere on Friday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific.
Right.
All Pacific times.
Right. Everything else normal, just our live show will be tomorrow instead of Wednesday. But you'll still be able to catch it Wednesday if that's your normal time. It just won't be live for you.
All the normal scheduling will still be there, just live tomorrow.
I also want to put this out in the world. It's going to be a plus 100 degrees in the Southern California area tomorrow and Wednesday. So we may have some power issues. We're hoping not. Keeping those fingers crossed, but just want to make sure that everybody understands that that's what we're going to be dealing with. So we're going to have to make sure to remind each other to stay hydrated. Already got some of those in the chat, so appreciate that, guys.
Stay hydrated. We've been reminded of rolling blackouts, so hopefully that won't happen.
Hopefully
but
it won't.
Can happen.
Right, and I think it's better to just kind of put that out there and let people know, rather than there be a surprise and why did the power go out? Well, it's 106, so
The Mactastic says, move to LA, they said. The weather is great, they said. Yeah.
Climate change.
99% of the time, 90% of the time it's great here. But
it has been,
you have weeks that are just killer, but then it's great again. So.
It has been paradise since March, in my opinion. We've had a little bit of rain here and there, but it's been paradise. And only now is it getting hot. I'm okay with that. It's June.
Yeah. Maybe I'm pretty lucky. All right, you love bugs. We're going to go. We adore you, and we're going to see you live tomorrow, for those of you who can make it. Wednesday, Friday, so many days of the dungeon run this week. I'm pumped. Ron, I love you. Thank you for interviewing with me and Katie Couric.
Yeah,
thank you, Katie Couric.
Thank you, Uggo. What a delight. And if you can get Siv to come on this interview show sometime.
Yeah, I try to. He's a bit of a coward sometimes, but wrong word. He's a bit of a shy kitty sometimes. So, I'll try. I'll do my best.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you'll do great, Uggo.
What a goofball.
What a goof. Yeah, maybe choose a different word.
Yeah, he needs to work on his. He's still working on his language. He's still working on it.
But he's really crushed it. It's only been a few months. So.
And and he's learned how to read and write.
Oh, that's incredible.
He might have had some help from the Candle Queen. No, don't.
No, oh, that was all me.
Okay, buddy. On that note, thank
Our
you everyone
secret.
for being here. We'll see you later. Have a
love
wonderful
you.
rest of the week.
Bye.
We'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And, oh, we got to do our normal thing, right? We got to do.
Oh yeah,
Thing.
let's do it.
Until next time, humankind.
Kind.
Be
Be
both.